Right now I'm sampling nature for sure.
Okay, all right.
Welcome to my element. You are in nature. Nature is a safe space for me. It's a space that I need, being in all the hustle and bustle and work that I do. And I am a creative, I'm an international DJ and music producer. And I'm on a search for meaningful sounds and experiences. And this is a place where I record sounds for my music and for other producers too. So we're gonna record some sounds right now in this natural area. And then we're gonna go back to the studio and I'm gonna show you, hey, some of these sounds I recorded, but I'm also gonna show you some of the sounds we recorded in Ghana, Palestine, and all other different places of the world. All right, so today we're at Solidarity Studios, AKA the Beat Bakery. I like to think about it as a storefront in an outdoor marketplace. There's a lot of studios out here in Chicago and around the world, but we are different here. First off, we're a grassroots record label and we support the community and we center justice in our work. And second of all, you know, when you go to different studios around the city, you get different things, but also you get the same thing. I go to that studio, I make a trap beat. I go to that studio, I make a hip hop beat. What can you make when you come here? Well, you make well-cultured music. We have samples from around the world here at Solidarity Studios. And I think that's why producers really love it here, because we have a diverse and global taste to our music. And that's because we have a local and a global mission. I got started in music production because I started DJing on a radio station when I went to Northwestern University. And my mentor and I was apprenticing a really dope DJ. His name is DJ Madrid Perry, and he was actually Oprah Winfrey's DJ. I'm like, man, this is raw. Like, I need to do this, and I really loved house music. House music got me into this, actually. Chicago house music got me into music production. And the first song I ever played on the radio was a Chicago house track. In the beginning, there was Jack, and Jack had a groove, and in this groove came the groove of all grooves. And when you're in this house, you're not in my house, you're in our house. I happen to be DJing for environmental communities because I first was doing a lot of music preservation work. We would go to different places and do sound recordings of sacred spaces, of traditional music, and etc. And I kind of realized through the evolution of time that when you look at culture and environment, they're very related. And the reason why is because people live in the environment. And so I got into environmental spaces because there's a lot of environmental injustice happening. And what I realized is, first of all, what happens is that people get kicked off their land. When they get kicked off their land, they have to migrate. They lose their traditions. They have to assimilate. They lose identities. And then you have land there that's for exploitation. And I think because I recognize that and my work is in this area, I'm really close to the environmental communities. Well, I like to get different angles. And I think the angles can tell you a little bit about someone's experience or something's experience, whether it's a species in the space or etc. I'm gonna give you an example. When we went to Ghana, we went to Cape Coast Castle and Elmina Castle, and we're trying to decide, hey, what are we going to record? And one point of reference that we had was the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. And we're like, maybe recording the ocean from the different various areas of the castle could help someone today tap into the experience of the different places in this castle, from the dungeon to the general's quarters up top. And the Atlantic Ocean sounded way different from all these different places and can help people tap into that experience at Cape Coast Castle, whether it was from the European colonial perspective to the African perspectives, you know, the Africans getting enslaved. And so I'm using the waterfall right now as my point of reference. I'm just gonna get a few different angles right now. Right now I'm sampling nature for sure. So when I make my house music, majority of the times you're probably gonna find a few different samples that I've recorded in a different country that contain some type of traditional drumming or style, and you might not hear it initially, but those samples are always in the music that I make. And so my duality of my urban self and my indigenous self, they're always there. And sometimes I want to lean towards my more indigenous side, and sometimes I want to lean towards my urban side. And I think sometimes that may require another identity. And when I told you about Planet Chambo when we were recording sounds in nature, you know, that is adherent to my spiritual indigenous side of myself. And at Solidarity Studios, we have recorded a lot of meaningful samples of music. I'm really tired of like scrolling through the internet, finding meaningless samples of music and using them in my music because they sound good. I think when you use music and sounds, it should have a meaning towards it. And for us here, we have samples from Palogo music in Ghana, Agbaja music in Ghana. We have samples from Palestinian styles of music. We have samples of nature. We have samples from Cape Coast Castle. We have samples from different places and traditions of music. And I could show you a sample that we have from Ghana, and then I'll show you how we can engage so that can sound really good in a contemporary context. Right? So let's make this contemporary, because we always want to engage with what we are recording. So this is what we're going to do right here. All right, let's throw in Palogo. And sometimes you kind of need a space to just decompress. And this is a space to decompress. But even more importantly, these are our natural resources that we got to protect. This is a natural entity. Look how beautiful this thing is. Hey man, this thing is more beautiful. If you look at that tree, it's more beautiful than anything, bro. It's more beautiful than these big buildings in Chicago. That was naturally made, man. We got to protect that. We got to protect that. What's happening in our environment is a huge issue that one person cannot take on their own. And so we have to rely on our own personal talents and skills and passions to do what we can. And what I can do is and what I want to do is increase access to green spaces. And the way that I'm doing this is through sound recording in nature, through hip hop workshops in nature, bringing more artists and creatives and people to green spaces to experience the positive effects. That's how I personally want to make a change. I don't want to keep it just here. I think these spaces need to expand all over. We need to have these types of areas in every neighborhood, every single neighborhood, every park should have natural conserved spaces like this. The Beat Passport is an introductory book on how to make beats. And this is inspired by our worldly travels. And so we want everyone to be able to make beats on free software. So if you open this book up, you're gonna see the beginning level drum racks. And you insert these drum racks and you put in the speed into a music software, you're gonna get the beginning of a trap song. You're gonna get the beginning of a juke song. You're gonna get the beginning of a house song, of an Afro beat song. And so the Beat Passport is really to help people get into music making. I want to get the Beat Passport into every US Embassy library across the world. Because I don't know if you know this, but most often US embassies have free public libraries in there for the local spaces. And I want these places to have Beat Passport in there so people can make music. I also probably should start more locally, and we want to start at schools in libraries as well. And we want this in every school and library because you don't need a big setup. All you need is a computer and Beat Passport and headphones, you can make music. You're tuned in with DJ Antonio Cesar, AKA Cesar. I'm a DJ, business owner, and environmentalist, and you're tuned in with Profiles. At this place, we did something called Planet Chambo, where we recorded a DJ, I was the DJ, a dancer, and used 4K cameras and drones to like capture the whole place. And the dancer was at different locations, showcasing the different locations in this area.